How's life across the pond? Welcome, you guys. Happy Saturday night. I hope everyone is doing well. What's going on, Marhajahota? How comes you're requesting to be in my live video? Did you bump that button? Welcome, you guys. Welcome. Hey, Pam. Good to see you. Good to see you. I guess not as many people are worried about going home for Christmas and being around their relatives as I thought. Man, it's a big thing. Holidays can be stressful for people, you know? There's the gifts that we're supposed to get, we're supposed to receive, right? No, don't worry, don't worry, Maria. It's all good. I was just kidding around. I get those all the time. I never call them out. It was your lucky day, I guess. Um, yeah, so I'm going home to my family. There was a famous Buddhist who said, if you think you're enlightened, go home and spend some time with your family. Happy Saturday night, Bam. And that's true. I mean, where else can you go to revisit everything that has, kind of been the catalyst for probably the most problems you find in your day-to-day life, comes from the family, of course. And so when we go home and we're put in those situations, old memories surface, they're triggered, right? And it can be stressful. It can be challenging for a lot of people, right? What's up, YouTube? Welcome everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. I can't see who's on YouTube. It's different than IG, but welcome you guys. Welcome. Happy Saturday night. Hey, Cat Pickle, welcome. So listen, I wanted to give you guys a few of the applicable practices that I keep in mind when I go home to my family, because if not, after 2-3 days, I would be ready to get in my car and drive and drive and drive. Not that I don't. Hey, Rebecca, good to see you. Good to see you again. Not that I don't. Hey, Evolving, welcome. Not that I don't love my family. Of course, I love my family, and it's all about the time we spend with our family. But that doesn't mean you're not going to be triggered necessarily when you end up home with your siblings, your cousins, and your aunt, that one that you may or may not get along so well with. And I always think, hey, Carnival, welcome. I always think that it's good to keep a couple things in mind as you flow through the holidays, right? With everything being at a crescendo the way it is, between Candace Owens and Erica Kirk and this giant soap opera that we are witnessing play out every day, right? It's good to get the right mindset before you used to max out at 24 hours home, have to build up more flow, evolving and free. I feel you. I feel you. Absolutely. It's not easy, and holidays can be stressful for a lot of people, and that's not, and they're supposed to be about time with family. They're supposed to be about giving, but they're not always. But listen, I want to tell you guys something important to keep in mind when you're visiting your family, and there's a lot of people, or there's, remember that you only have so many holiday, Christmases, Hanukkahs, solstices, just remember 5D consciousness. That's right, Rebecca. If you know what 5D consciousness is and you can remember it, then you can get along anywhere you go with anyone, essentially. But, Bruce Lee said it best. You have to be like water. You have to be willing to go with the flow, and water is unstoppable because it can go anywhere. It won't be stopped. You can hold it back for a little bit, but it's going to make its way and find a way through. And Bruce knew that. That's why he was able to achieve the mastery that he did. And he flowed like water, man. He was beautiful to watch. Have you ever seen him do his thing? But, if there's, obviously sometimes there's certain family members who you tend to get into it with, right? Syntropic Engineering said, return to the roots of the holiday. And by that I mean the pagan rites. Wait, come back. Where'd that comment go? And by that I mean the pagan rites of celebration of the return of the sun and the renewal of the astronomical year. Of course, that is what Christmas comes from. That's the origin of Christmas. The Romans, particularly the ones in the Vatican, decided December 25th would be the birthday of Jesus. We're not exactly sure if that's the day he was born. This is a random, but I found a podcast you will love. It's called Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Kids. Wow, I'll check it out, dude. I'll check it out. That sounds crazy. Hey, Bonnie, good to see you. Welcome. Welcome, y'all. So, like I have a twin brother. Me and my twin brother, we get along great these days, right? Hey, Aaron, welcome. But, there's very few people on the planet who can press my buttons like my twin brother. Like, he doesn't do it nearly as often as he used to when we were kids, but he does it. And, so one of the things I do is I kind of mentally rehearse not reacting the way I typically would, which would be like an explosion of fury. Around my twin brother. That's one of the greatest tricks. Hey, Yolanda, welcome. That you can use, if you already have a sense how a situation is going to be, that you're going to be put in a situation, right? Oh, you do know my twin. Oh, that's awesome. You know Frankie? Take care, Rebecca. And mental rehearsal, you guys, remember the mind does not know the difference. If there's this wild experiment that was run, and I talk about this. I've spoken about it many times, but they did this study on these two groups of guys, right? And they made half the guys go to the gym and do bicep exercises, right? And they made the other half stay home and fully imagine doing the same bicep exercises. And then at the end of the study, they took a measurement. They took a measurement of everyone's bicep size. And lo and behold, guess what they found? They found that the guys who went to the gym had a 75% increase in their bicep mass, right? And the guys who stayed home and did it in their imagination only had about a 45%. 50% increase in muscle mass. And when I say only, I'm being extremely sarcastic. That is the power of mental rehearsal. We are blessed with this incredible mind that the Creator gave us. And we have mirror neurons, and the mind doesn't necessarily always know the difference between what you're imagining fully and what is happening. That's why people have PTSD is such a real thing, because they can't stop thinking about that event, and it's run roughshod over their present day experience every day. And that's why trauma is so fucking damaging, because we run loops, right? So mental rehearsal is an enormous, it's just to keep that in your toolbox, and just, if you're going to be in a situation, already decide, mentally rehearse how you're going to react, right? You're going to be in a house with the family, and there's going to be a lot of people there, and you're going to be there for 7-8 days, right? What do you have planned to take care of yourself? Your routine is going to be thrown off, right? You're not going to be able to get up maybe and do the things that you normally do. Hopefully you will, but make a plan to be able to do the things you need to do for you. Have an idea in your mind what you're going to do. If you're like me and you're a meditator and you need that time every day, whether it's 15 minutes, 45 or an hour, I already know what room I'm going to sneak in my parents' house when I get back there. I know exactly what little corner of the house I'm going to go to. I'm not going to let anyone or anything stop me from doing the things that I know I have to do to maintain wholeness and well-being, right? There's a boxing gym in Pennsylvania that's not far from my house. I'm going to call those motherfuckers up as soon as I get to Pennsylvania, and I'm going to make an appointment because I'm not going to miss my workouts. I'm not going to stop doing the things I know I need to do just because I'm in a different environment at a different location. I'm going to find a way, right? And you should too. You know, what people do is they go and they feel stuck, and they instead of looking for solutions and options, they just focus on what they don't have, right? And we don't want to do that anyway, let alone over the holidays. Then you just become a big old ball of resentment, waiting for the days to tick by so you can go home, right? Don't fall into that trap. And don't fall into, the trap of, you're going to be with your relatives. Most people are going to be with their relatives. And it's usually for an extended period of time, right? I think that's safe to say, right? So as the days go by, tends to get harder and more challenging and more irksome, and you feel more and more of a need to be like, okay, I'm gonna sneak out the window tonight, and I'm gonna just go home. I'm not gonna come back. I know that feeling. Everybody knows that feeling, right? But so if you know that, right, then begin to already start to anticipate day 4, day 5, right? So that when you wake up on those mornings, you're like, this is, a few more days of this, that's all. Listen, let me tell you, I just found out one of my dearest friends who had lost his older sister a few weeks ago, lost his father 2 days ago. Now, if you had asked him not a month ago, 2 months ago, what he was doing this Christmas, he would have told you he was spending it with his father and his sisters and his sons. And now his sons only have their father. They don't have their aunt and they don't have their grandfather. And that was the only ones they had left. So you never know. You just never know when something is going to happen and this physical incarnation is going to end, right? So don't take it for granted, because my heart goes out to my friend. This is gonna be a very tough Christmas for him. He's gonna be with his boys and without his father, who was the last one he had left. His mom had already passed, and his older sister, who passed. So don't take it for granted, right? Don't take anything for granted as much as you can in this life, because you just never know when something is going to happen. I'm not saying, and I'm the last person who will ever say, live in fear. You can't live that way. But spend the time looking in the eyes of the ones you love. Remember, you've known them probably your whole life. I look at my kids sometimes, and it gets harder as they get older and bigger and hairier. I have 2 boys, but I catch them. I catch glimpses of them, and I see them. It's right back to when they were 3, 4 years old. It's and parents, same thing. I start to remember my dad 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I cherish those moments, and I'm encouraging you all too. It's easy to get lost in the anxiety of all the people in the house, and and the traveling, and remembering to pack everything, and who didn't you get a gift for. That it's easy to get lost in all that. But stay organized and remember what the holidays are for. They're for celebrating life. They're for listen, my grandmother, she used to make us sing happy birthday to Jesus, okay? she used to make him a birthday cake, okay? And my cousins are like totally secular. So it was a hoot every time we had to sing happy birthday to baby Jesus. My grandmother, God bless her. I was looking at a picture of her the other day. She was so sweet. She was this little old Italian lady. She couldn't walk by a homeless person without giving them something. No matter where we were, everywhere we went. She's who I learned that from. I picked that up from her. But so, you guys, I'm sure everybody has plans, right? I mean, maybe some of you guys are just having everyone over to your house, but I'm just encouraging you all to take each moment, for what it's worth with each person and stay present, right? And don't get caught up in the anxiety of it, because that's not what Christmas is about. Enjoy your family, because you don't know how long you'll have them, right? Remember what I told you about my friend. Um, and there are a lot of people who are going to be spending Christmas alone, right? So many of you, most of you have families, some of you big families, um, and enjoy them for all they're worth. You know what I mean? I feel like as we get older, sometimes it dwindles, like the chairs aren't filled like they were. I talk to people all the time. Everyone has lost someone. So this Christmas, be as present as you can. Take in as much as you can. Remember as much as you can. Don't be checked out. Don't be on your phone. I get it. This is a reminder for myself too, because obviously I do a lot on my phone. I post a lot of videos, and I'm always trying to spread information to people. So I have to catch myself and put my phone down as well, and just be present with my children, with my family. And that's a challenge these days. And it's a greater challenge to get the kids off the damn devices too. Good luck with that. These kids will just, they don't, God, if you guys remember when we were young, we used to go outside. Like, we never wanted to be in the house. I don't know what happened. These kids these days, man, it's just, everything is digital, everything is electronic. It is not going to end well, I don't think. I don't know. Maybe I'm being cynical. So tomorrow, guys, see, if I was on my other Instagram, many of you would know probably who Chris Crutchfield is. He was just on the Way Forward podcast with Alex Zek. Presence is the present. That's right. It's the greatest present you can give anyone. It is a present, right? It's a gift. Absolutely. So tomorrow I'm having Chris Crutchfield on my podcast. Some of you may follow him. He's the 6'9" podcast. He does a lot of live streams with Alex Zak, Crystal Teeny, I think her name is, and Street MD, who I haven't talked to in a while. He's been busy, but and you guys, next week, next Friday, this is probably the most incredible and explosive interview I've ever done. I flew in a Mexican forensic doctor from the Mexican army to do a podcast with me here. I met him when I was in Mexico City. He has worked hands-on with the Nazca mummies for almost two years now, right? And he did every test imaginable on the bodies of these. They're referred to as the Nazca mummies, right? But they're not exactly mummies. But they were found by the Nazca Lions. Anyway, this podcast is going to be out next Friday. And this man has never, he's still enlisted in the Mexican Navy. He does this in his off time, and he's gotten a lot of trouble for it. He was demoted from his rank, and they took his pay because he reported about the test results, which showed that the bodies that they found were organic and not human. This is crazy how much evidence. So this podcast that is going to premiere on Friday, I think it's going to be mind-blowing for people to see a forensic doctor who has done every test that is possible to do to verify that these three-fingered, they call them the tridactyl beings, these three-fingered beings are organic life forms, 90% match of our DNA, 10% inconclusive, all shapes and sizes. They have, you guys, you've got to check this episode out. His name is Dr. Jose Zalce. Incredible, big-hearted, courageous man. He's going to be, so that's going to premiere on Friday. I have just all the test results, the scans, so if I can describe these beings to you, you guys are going to see this video, but the rib cage is not like our rib cage. For those of you just joining me, we've veered off the title topic, and I'm talking about this podcast I have premiering on Friday, this coming Friday, because it's going to be, I think, no, this man has not spoken to anyone in an English speaking podcast yet. I'm the first one. And like, how many people do you know who have literally worked with hands on diagnostic forensic investigation, a forensic doctor studying all of these bodies that were found in a cave in Nazca in Peru, and then flown to Mexico City for testing, and like they have these silver plated alloys in their arms. Some of them had them plated here seamlessly. They don't know how they did it. Like they obviously we have no capacity to do this with our biology. I mean, we pierce our ears with silver. We don't know how to use silver alloy. There was copper, there was cadmium, all of these very conductive, great transponders. It's going to be, Walter, it's going to be, I think it really has potential to be my biggest podcast yet, even though Dr. Jose doesn't have a social media following. What he is sharing with me is absolutely groundbreaking. It's going to be incredible. I think even skeptics are going to be like, holy shit, I mean, he tells me the Mexican army sat him down and said, listen, you have to say that the test results were a lie. And he was like, he said, this hurt me. This broke my heart. And I said, what, why? Why do you say that? And he said, because the Mexican army made me a forensic doctor. They gave me my career. They gave me my family. They gave me my ability to take care of myself. He said, I worked for 30 years for them, and they asked me to lie, and he said, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. He said, they locked him in a fucking room for 5 days. 5 days, and he wouldn't recant. Finally, when they opened the door, he said, I want a lawyer, right? His wife had no idea where he was. This is like the repercussions this man took for refusing to go back on his word about what he saw in these tests and with these bodies. It's just, he is a rare breed. And I'm so excited to share that podcast with you guys. He has big guts, Walter. I mean, and what happened was when the new president got in, everything, he was like, listen, he said to me flat out, he goes, my government is a narco government. And I was like, dude, I know. He was like, I'm trying to get out of the Navy because most of the things that he is doing forensic investigations on has to do with the narco industry. And, he has a family now, and he's trying to get out, and I don't blame him. You don't want to be on that job. It's just so dangerous. You don't want to be an investigator in anything to do with that, because you don't know whose side you're supposed to be on, and everything is corrupt. Anyway, I'm excited about that podcast. That's going to be incredible. Let me see. Carnival said, did you hear Mike Forrest talk on the Limitless podcast about the Mexican relics? No, I have to check that out. Send me a link, Carnival. I would love to check that out. Walter, you're gonna love it. I have like a 15-minute video of all the scans, the X-rays, guys. These bodies. So our rib cage, it doesn't join. When you look at the biology of these bodies, their rib cages are joined, right? And I was like, what? It doesn't look. It doesn't look like ours. Their heads are elongated. You can see their teeth. They have 3 fingers. So there was 3 types of beings found. Okay, one had. So we have 3 phalanges, are they called? I think phalanges. The smaller beings had 5. The medium-sized beings had 6 phalanges, and I saw one. There was just these. This is so bizarre. These hands were found, right? So the hand was this size, right? Hey, Flowers, good to see you. Starting here, and then the fingers started here. This is how big the hands were on the big ones, right? And they all had this perfectly embedded silver alloy plate, perfect rectangle, and clearly the technology is out of our realm of imagining, because we have no idea how they could do that, but it was embedded in the skin. They found I mean, we zoom in through the X-rays and the MRIs and every other type of scan imaginable, and you can see the eggs. There's three fetuses in eggs just, and some of the skin that they tested resembled more like not like a reptile but like a bird's skin. They were all naked flowers. The bodies were they dated them to about 1700 years ago, which is fucking wild. Like, but the reason why they call them the Nazca mummies is because they look like they were mummified, but they're just desiccated and dehydrated completely. And get this, you guys are gonna, when you see this podcast, it's gonna blow your mind, right? So they were buried in a certain algae, like like the way the doctor described it as a prehistoric algae. And this algae grows over organic substances and then crystallizes. He said, so it can't be an accident that these bodies were buried in this massive collection of this prehistoric algae, he called it. And he said that, and once it grows over an organic life form, it preserves it. So this was not an accident. Like these bodies were buried in a place where they would be, because if they weren't, guys, then the bacteria would have just, there'd be nothing left. I mean, maybe bones, but there was more than bones. Like, I wish I had the video. I would cue it up for you guys. But tune in next week to the YouTube channel. It's going to be, I'm probably the most excited I've ever been about a podcast, because I don't think anyone has ever spoken to this guy, on an American podcast about what he has studied for the last 3 years and the repercussions he has faced for being honest about the test results, right? It's fucking really cool. It's definitely all kinds of intelligent beings here on Earth in the past. Yeah, that's for sure. Elongated headed beings, giants, tiny people, and many more. And that's the thing, Carnival. There was 3 kinds, right? So one of the things he told me, I wonder if they made the algebra, or if they made it, or was it naturally occurring? So it's crazy. It seems to me, and this is totally obviously my own hypothesis, but it seems to me like there was a hybridization program that was happening somewhere, probably underground, and the Earth is hollow. There's a lot about the Earth. Algeria. Oh, algebra. I was like, algebra. Because there was 3 types of being, 3 types of sizes. What they had in common was they were all tridactyl. They all had 3 fingers and 3 toes. The amount of phalanges on each of them varied, and the size varied immensely. Like there was one beings were like this big, and then the next were slightly bigger, and then the hands they found, the hands that I saw, I was in the same room as these hands, the ones that had the silver plating, they were fucking enormous. I mean, like they were the size of my forearm. So they estimated those beings to be about 3 meters tall based on their hands. But they didn't find any of those bodies, just the hands. It's so fucking bizarre. But they found like over a dozen of the other bodies, some of them much bigger than the other ones. But the smaller ones, those are the ones that there was eggs in. There were a few of the women were pregnant. And if you look at their bodies, so the way he described it, he said, you know what we saw? He said, if you looked at the X-ray of an alligator without the head, just from the torso to the waist, that's what their rib cage looked like. And I was like, holy shit, that's true. Like I never thought about that. And he said that their skin features were less like ours and more like a bird's. Or like a frog's almost. He said not scaly like a reptilian, but they were porous, and their mouths were really small. You could see their teeth. You could see in the infants. You could see the baby teeth, and like you cannot. And this is the fucking world we live in, guys. Like only in a fucking insane asylum of a world would this not be like front page news everywhere? They've gone out of their way to discredit these mummies, which is just a travesty. When you guys see this podcast, you are not going to believe it. I don't care how big of a skeptic you are. I'm sitting across from a Mexican forensic doctor who spent 3 years of his life studying and scanning with hundreds of other doctors. And he knows the deal. And in fact, he got in a lot of trouble for speaking the truth about it. So their core was shortened and tight. If I could show you the video, I would. If you Google the Nazca mummies, you'll see these images, and then they'll bring up the debunking headlines. But they tested the metal alloy in these beings, which when you guys see the podcast when it premieres, you'll see like some of them had these metal. So fascinating. They had it in their wrist. Some of them had it over the arm. They also noticed in some of the little ones that broken bones were coated with this silver alloy. It was 90% pure silver, and then it had all these other elements in it, cadmium, gold, really fucking cool. And some of the bones especially in the little beings were coated. Broken bones were coated with this alloy, which is just like, that is some X-Men, Wolverine, that's like crazy comic book stuff, like strengthening a bone with an alloy that is biologically friendly. It's just, that's like the kind of comic books I love to read. It's cool. But anyway, so I'm excited about that. The Smithsonian was formed to hide things like this, right? Carnival, you know that, right? They formed the Smithsonian, I think, right after what's his name found the city under the Grand Canyon. I think it was 1910. What was his name? Kincaid? No, I think it might have been Kincaid. But they found what appeared to be Egyptian relics and a whole city where the Hopi still to this day will tell you that they emerged from. So the metal sounds soft, like it was easy to move with their bodies. So flowers, it was embedded in the skin on the bone, and also, so like they only found it when they did the X-rays. There was only a few of these bodies that had actually desiccated so much to where some of the metal was visible without the X-ray. They only found it when they did the X-rays. And like, that's the other thing is like, so Jaime Maussan is a Mexican billionaire. He's a good guy. He's one of the good guys. There's so few billionaires out there who are willing to use their resources to fight for truth. And this man is one of them, Jaime Maussan. He's the one that he's paid millions of dollars to protect these bodies and do all these tests. So what he did when they first found him was he was like, these are real. Already the preliminary results are showing that these bodies are real. And he said, and they said, no, they're fake. And he said, okay, if they're fake, I'll offer anyone on the planet. He put a reward up for somebody who could replicate these bodies. And then, of course, people came forward and they tried and they did. And then the press found out about it. And then the press took those bodies and said, see, look, told you they were fake, right? And of course, that was bullshit. That was a ploy. They used Jaime, and then they showcased the fake bodies, the fake three-fingered bodies. And they said, see, told you they were fake all along. The press just went to town with it. And everyone was like, yeah, I told you they were fake. They're not fake. I was in the room with them, and I saw all the test results. And you're going to see all the test results on Friday if you tune into this podcast. It is going to be phenomenal. Like, I've never had a conversation like this before. It's going to be really, really awesome. So that's Friday. His name is Dr. Jose Zalce. He's still in the Mexican military, so he told me a lot. Hopefully he doesn't get in trouble. Sounds like such an interesting episode. Hey, Rain Mama, it's gonna be very cool. It's very exciting. Where are they now? So this is crazy. There was so many of them. So Jaime has a bunch of them kept safe in his. He has like a whole institute. I mean, he has this beautiful building in Mexico City, and he has a bunch of them. There's another doctor who must have found a way to buy one. He has one stored at, and like I was there with them, an undisclosed location. I wonder if I could show. I can't show you guys on YouTube. I could probably show you guys on Instagram, but I would have to fish through to find the photos. But like he took out some bodies, and he showed me because he has like 2 or 3 of them at his place. So there was like a lot of them, and he's literally trying to sell one now. He's trying to find like a caretaker for them, even though he's got them hidden in his office in Mexico City, which is fucking crazy. Are you the only person who had the privilege of interviewing this guy? As I understand it right now, as far as podcasts go, I am the only person in America who has had this guy come in from Mexico City. He was worried about his English. His English was great. Yeah, I do not know of another podcast that he has ever been on. He's still enlisted. He's still working for the Mexican army. So he's, it was a small miracle that I got him here. And the podcast is in English, and I'm hoping he doesn't get in trouble. But so I got that coming up. Yeah, and tomorrow I got Chris Crutchfield. For those of you who follow Alex Zek, you will. Did you feel any? So you know what vibrations I felt when I put my hand on I saw the boogosphere. I put my hand on that boogosphere. My God, you could feel the vibration coming from the boogosphere. When I was with the bodies, I was only around them for a few minutes, and I didn't get a lot of. Listen, my intuition told me those bodies were real the moment I laid eyes on them, and I was right. I know I was right. They were just too elaborate to be a fake, to me anyway. Yeah, Karen knows Chris. So Chris Crutchfield is coming into town tonight, and then tomorrow we're gonna grab lunch, and he's gonna come on my podcast. We're gonna record. For those of you who know Alex Zek, you probably know Chris. Chris has a 6'7" podcast. We're gonna get into Charlie. He messaged me earlier and he said, how are we not going to talk about Candace Owens and Erica Kirk? I go, bro, we're gonna have to talk about Candace Owens and Erica Kirk because this shit is just ridiculous. I mean, like, I am having conversations with people who I understand to be truth seekers, and they're like, they're saying that Candace and Ian are like, that we're being manipulated by them, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, what happened to you? Like, how? Candace can't leave her fucking house. Candace has been like on a hit list for 4 years. You know that she is speaking some truth. If she, it's not safe for her to leave her freaking house. I mean, and that's the facts, right? Who's Mossad? Do you check your direct messages? I'll send you those podcasts. Yeah, I check them, Carnival. You can send them to me on this account or my personal account. Who's Mossad? Peace with Pam. Who's Mossad? Tell me that you didn't just call Candace Owens Mossad, because I'm going to be very confused if you think Candace, in calling out nonstop the genocide, and like how do you equate her with Mossad when she's constantly calling out the atrocities being committed by the Israeli government? Anyway, we veered directly off the topic of Christmas with relatives and onto much more interesting things. But that's okay, because, anyone who wants a pep talk and some strategies on how to get through Christmas without losing your fucking mind, you're just going to have to go back to the beginning of this podcast and watch that, because now we've moved on to, what do you call it? Well, we're talking about what's to come, right? Chris and I are going to talk about Candace and Erica Kirk, who I personally don't know how anyone can hear a word come out of Erica Kirk's mouth and not cringe. She is like there are WWE wrestlers who are better actors than Erica Kirk. She is just terrible. Take it from me. 20 years I spent working and studying every day trying to master the craft of acting, and I can tell you that she is a rank amateur. She is pathetic. You know, like she's like always trying to look up so she can cry. She's a fucking disaster, but she's enough for most people apparently. You know, like she's a plant. She's a total plant. She was she's supposed to be Christian. What did she say the other day on that show? Shalom, something? I don't know. I'm like, wait, what? I thought you were, weren't you and Charlie Christian? Oh, no, that's right. You met in Israel. You were sent there to meet him. Yeah. Charlie Kirk was fucking naive. And Chris and I are going to talk about that and a lot of other juicy things because Chris has a lot of very highly intelligent things to say about these things. So I'm excited to talk to him. What else? What else I got coming up? I just interviewed, if you guys can believe this dude is a governor candidate for California. And the shit that we talked about, like, I mean, imagine me running for governor in like 12 years. Like, that's this dude. That's this guy. Like, she was on, Candace was? Erica. I'm sure Erica's, yo, you guys, listen. If no one here is still watching like Fox News and CNN or MSNBC, right? I mean, I'm always taking shots at boomers because they're just, you know, they were programmed from a young age to get their news from the TV, and you know, maybe for like a few years it was trustworthy. How long before you post with Chris? Will it be Friday? Karen, so I'm going to record with him tomorrow. It'll probably be a few weeks before the episode comes out, but I'm going to see if he wants to do a live with me maybe next week, see if he's around, because he is just so much fun to talk to. I'm excited about seeing him tomorrow. What else, guys? It's 10:43. So yeah, that's going on. What else I got going on? I just had, his name is Louis Herms, right? Didn't she have a lot of questionable jewelry, like the Maltese cross? Who, Candace? Yeah, we're going to do a live, Karen, definitely. I'm going to talk to Chris tomorrow about it. He's fun to do lives with. I've done a few with him before on my main account, not my Far Out with Faust IG account, which is a little smaller than my personal account. But I'm banned for a year. Ask me why. Yeah, save time for Christmas help with the relative. You're right, Flowers. I should go back to it. So listen. If I go back to that, I want to watch my numbers drop, but no. So listen, Christmas holidays, it's important. Don't talk about Candace and Erica Kirk at the dinner table at any point, unless, what, a whole year? Whoa, what do you mean a whole year? Charlie Kirk's wife, I always forget her name. Yeah, Erica Kirk, yeah, of course. So they have her doing the rounds because, why? They have to turn public opinion against Candace Owens. They know she's not going to leave her house. They know she's not going to stop broadcasting. She has more views in one night than CNN, Fox News, MSNBC combined. She is a serious problem. And so they're out of options. You know, they have to turn the public against her. And so they're using Erica Kirk and her performances. She goes on talk shows and says, I just need one thing. Give me one thing. Wait. The one thing, the hill you're going to die on is where your husband is secretly buried? Wait, like what? Like, she's so fake. Can you imagine Jackie Kennedy 2 days after John was shot in public? Can you imagine her speaking to anyone? Can you imagine any truly grieving widow going on TV and speaking to anyone after seeing that? I mean, what fucking world are you living in? I don't want to hear everyone grieves in a different way. Bull fucking shit. Grief is grief. Trauma is trauma. This woman supposedly saw her husband get shot in the neck, right? And she just 48 hours later, she's ready to do a live stream. A week later, she's ready to sit in his chair and do a podcast. Are you fucking kidding me? What world are people living in? You don't see the love of your life slaughtered on TV, blood everywhere, and then 48 hours later, you know, be tearing your eyes and backstage as she was caught doing. That's an old actor's trick for actors who can't act. They put shit in their eyes to make them cry. She was literally recorded on video doing that backstage before she walked out. Like, everything about it is absurd. My brother-in-law got fired from his Christian school because he didn't include Charlie Kirk in his school prayer, and he worked there for what? That is fucking insane. That is crazy. He should sue them. Anyway, what else you guys want to talk about? I got like 5-10 minutes left in me. Let's see. Have you gone down the rabbit hole how many religions can lead back to the serpent cult? No, but I think the serpent got a bad name. I honestly do. And I blame Catholicism mostly. I think the serpent was a sign of life, you know, for a long time. And then, you know, the Vatican was like, let's make up a story about the serpent and naked people. And then we can make women and the divine feminine and turn serpents, which are a sign of, you know, a good sign, into something bad, right? I think that's what happened. Anyway, what else you guys got for me? I got about 5 minutes left of me. What do you think? What do you want to talk about? Tell me. I'm all ears. Hey, my YouTube audience increased by a few. So, anyway, next Friday, tune in. I think if you tune in, you're not going to be able to tune out. In fact, I promise you, if you check out the premiere next Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. on the YouTube channel, and then it'll come out on audio. If you want early access, I have a Patreon page. If you want to support my work, there's an awesome growing community of spiritual, free-minded, truth-seeking people, right? Am I from Chicago? No, Pam. I'm from Pennsylvania. Why? Because I talk with my hands? Is it my I don't really have a Chicago accent, that's for sure. I'm Italian American, full-blooded. So, you know, I mean, I don't really look it, but sometimes it comes out a little bit in certainly with my hands. I talk a lot with my hands. Yeah. Where should YouTube? Where should we be? YouTube or Instagram to see these lives? So Flowers, that's YouTube. Far Out with Faust is the name of my YouTube channel, and the podcasts premiere every Friday at 6 p.m. And then we put out a short or a clip or a reel. We put out content every day, both on Instagram and on YouTube. But YouTube is where the podcast lives. I am, and I just thought you might be, that's all. From Chicago. So it's funny, my twin brother lived in Chicago for probably like 7-8 years, I think. But no, I've never, not from Chicago. Sebastian Maniscalco is from Chicago. I love him, obviously. Who doesn't? Listen, that's what I got for you guys today. For those of you who tuned in late and were actually looking for the title of this podcast, which I'm going to have to try and change now. What am I going to call this What am I going to call this live stream? I went from talking about how to flow through your Christmas vacation with your family to tridactyl beings, Mexican forensic doctors, disclosure, and conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk and the insanity going on. What in God's name am I going to call this episode? You guys, which David Icke books do you read so far? Carnival. I've read The Trigger. I've read The Trap. I've read what's the best one? The one that he had self-published. And The Truth Shall Set You Free. I've read about 5 or 6 David's books, and I've had David on my podcast twice. And if you have not seen those episodes, you should definitely watch them. I'm gonna have them on again soon. I'm doing a lot of things with a new streaming network that's coming out called Spark or Spark TV. We haven't decided whether we're going to call it Spark TV or not, but it's going to be like a Gaia type streaming network, and we're creating original content for it as we speak, I'm doing a show. It's going to be called Take the Red Pill, and we're going to be shooting it in probably January and February, and so it's going to be Take the Red Pill. And the first season is going to be all ancient civilizations, all like I'm going to have on a who's who of experts on ancient civilizations, and we're going to talk about everything from the pyramids to all the megalithic discoveries that have been made, recent discoveries, older discoveries. Like I think it's going to be better than Graham Hancock's fucking show is good, but it's boring. Like, I mean, it just puts me to sleep. Graham is just, it's good and it's thought provoking, but it's not very exciting. The show that I want to do, obviously I'm not going to be traveling to all these places, but I'm going to have people on who did, and I'm going to use footage of those places. So we're going to try to keep it really exciting, but a lot of good stuff coming out. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. If you want early access to the podcast, check out my Patreon page. Let's see, I have read a lot of his earlier books, and they are so good. He goes into so much detail. He does Carnival. He's fucking amazingly talented. Like, everyone should read And the Truth Shall Set You Free. That was the first book that David had to self-publish, and of course it sold like hotcakes. It continues to sell. That book breaks, like, that's a must read. Another must read when you want information about the world, about this classified reality that we are living in. William Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse. Buy that book. Read that book. See William Cooper's lectures. He was a phenomenal whistleblower. He was part of the intelligence agencies for 30 years. He had the most clearance of anyone I've ever known. And then he came out and told the truth and was eventually gunned down in his driveway. Cultivate, Elevate, knows a lot about history. I know he does, Flowers, but I can't get him on my podcast. I can't, I don't know where he hides, man. I love Matt. He's incredible. I love his videos. But I've commented on a bunch of them. I tried to get him, but he's like, I don't know if he does podcasts. I don't even know if Alec has been able to get him on. I think Alec's been trying to get him on. I don't know. I need an in, right? I've been trying. I would love to have Matt on. I love his videos, and he is so fucking well educated about all the things I love to talk about. He knows the truth about a lot of shit. Oh, he does? Karen, send me a link to his Telegram page. I didn't know he had a Telegram page, or maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But listen, I'm wishing you guys love. I'm sure I'll talk to you again before the. Thank you, Flowers. I appreciate it. I'm sure I'm going to talk to you guys again before the holiday. But if I don't talk to you before Christmas, then know that I'm wishing you all the merriest of Christmas holidays, solstices, Hanukkahs, whatever it is. The biggest secret was really good. Children of the Matrix. I'm halfway through that one. The books from the 90s are some of the best. Some of his new ones are very interesting too, and he breaks down what's going on now. But I love the old ones myself. So listen, Merry Christmas, you guys. Spend it with your family. Don't take those moments for granted. Remember that you don't know if this is your last Christmas with anyone, right? So enjoy every moment you can with your family, and go to it with peace in your hearts. And God bless you all. And I love you guys, and I appreciate you spending some time with me. And say a prayer for me with the relatives. I will, Flowers. You say one for me too. And you guys take care and enjoy the holidays. And keep an eye out for that episode next week. And Chris and I's episode will probably be out after the New Year's. But we're gonna get into the Charlie Kirk thing. God bless you guys. I love you guys.